Aladdin, we want you to share something with our audience that is either little known or completely unknown, something that most people don't know. And it can be about you, about Bitcoin, about the trading cards, about life, even about the world, anything. But it has to be something that will surprise people, something that will make them sit up and pay attention.
Oh man, we've had 2 hours and I've thrown so much out there. What do I have left? Ah,
Well, you spoke about at the start the video that no one had seen. Oh yeah.
that works perfectly.
Hello and welcome back to the Orange Pill Order podcast. I'm Thomas.
I'm Finn.
And I'm Kaylin.
And we are three Gen Z teenagers on a mission to orange pill the world, one episode at a time. If you're new here, welcome to the family. We talk Bitcoin, freedom, and the future. And today we've got an absolute banger of an episode lined up.
Bro, I'm genuinely so hyped about this
Yeah.
one. So picture this, right? You're a kid, you're collecting Pokémon cards, Marvel cards, sports cards, right? We all did that. What if someone made trading cards that were actually about something that matters? What if every time you opened a pack, you weren't just getting some random holographic card. You were, getting an education about money, about freedom, sovereignty, and Bitcoin.
That's exactly what today's guest has done. He took the whole trading card culture that our generation has literally every generation before us has been obsessed with, and he turned it into something way bigger. He created the world's first physical Bitcoin only collectible trading cards, and they're not just educational. Like, some of these cards have genuinely sold for up to zero point 0.4 Bitcoin, which is crazy, guys, on the secondary market.
Yeah, so without further ado, let us introduce the man, the artist, the entrepreneur, the Bitcoin OG himself, Alladin Flinn. Alladin, welcome to the Orange Pill Order.
Hey, thank you guys. And man, that intro, I'm gonna have to hire you guys as my marketing team.
Yeah, I mean, we're super glad
Yeah.
to have you here. I mean, we've been going down the rabbit hole in your work, and honestly, the more we looked into it, the more interesting it got. So, before we get into the cards, though, we want to know about you, the person behind the project. So, let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, Alladin, we know you grew up in a small farming town in Northern Carolina. I mean, what was that like growing up? And when did you first realize that you were an entrepreneur at heart?
So, Northern California, a Cali boy, back when California was a lot better place than it is now. No, I grew up incredibly based, thanks to my father. I actually grew up like you said, in a small farming town, and this was during where I really got my based roots was really through the prohibition of cannabis. So my father was old school hippie from way back in the day, and he saw the medical validity of cannabis early on back in the 60s. He was one of those hippies, and he was always fighting for a chance for a better world. So these were roots that were really pushed into me at a very young age. He did not hold back on anything. I think I found out there was no Santa Claus at like 3 years old. He definitely broke all those thoughts and ideas, but in a good way. And I saw family members and friends that literally were doing life in jail for growing plants in their backyard. And being a little kid, trying to understand that, it was impossible for my brain, even as a child, to understand how someone could go to prison for growing a plant in their backyard that had medical benefits. And this small town also had a major drug epidemic. Back in the 90s, drugs were like really starting to take off very, very heavily. Obviously, they'd been around for a long time, but methamphetamines were going crazy at that time. So I was seeing kids 12 years old addicted to methamphetamines, and not like little bits here and there, but hardcore drug addicts at 12 years old. So myself seeing all of this, definitely was taking a step back on everything in my life, trying to figure out how in the hell all this worked. So I was taught the based ways very early on. I saw the corruption very early on, even in the little school I was in. starting out, just noticing how corrupt the principal was, and different teachers that have been in those schools for years treating. I came from a little farm, living in a trailer, and with my dad being a cannabis grower and getting arrested a couple times. We lived, excuse me, right on Main Street, so everyone knew our family. Everyone knew when the cops came down the driveway. It was news for the whole entire town, and I saw literally how these teachers, principals, not all of them, there was beautiful ones, but just treated any kid that didn't come from money, that wasn't part of these families that ran this little community like this disturbed me at a really young age. I knew that equality wasn't necessarily a thing with everyone, and absolute power breeds absolute corruption. So it was definitely hard growing up, but these were all things that I can tell you. I'm a father of three. I've got two teenagers myself, and the biggest thing that I really like to teach them is learn from other people's experiences as much as you can, so you don't have to make those mistakes. And I went through a lot of experiences that made me who I am, and I look back and go, everything needed to happen. It sucks, but it needed to happen the way it did, so that I could grow up and be exactly who I am today. Without all those lessons, going through all the I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be on the same mission, and I wouldn't be able to put the creativity into what I'm building the same way if I hadn't gone through all of that. So early age learning quite a few things that I believe you guys as Bitcoiners are already seeing yourselves in order to stand up and really be aware so that you can make the best decisions.
Yeah, that's a really good mentality to have. I mean, clearly it was a blessing in disguise, because as we know, you started your first business at 17, a record label called Homegrown Records. That's the same age as us right now. For listeners who might be our age thinking about starting something like that, what was the experience like beginning your entrepreneurial career at such a young age?
Yeah, I mean, I started all the way, because I didn't grow up with any money. It was really like, if you want something, then you need to figure out a way to go get it yourself. So I was doing lemonade stands at 9 years old at the end of the driveway. I was lucky enough to live on Main Street in this little farming town, so there was people driving back and forth, and then it went from a tiny little table at the end of the driveway to renting out my buddy's grandma's place a little bit down Main Street, and me and him getting to the point, by the time I was I think 11, we were doing summer lemonade stands where we had root beer floats. We were cooking hot dogs. I mean, I was definitely an entrepreneur at heart, going all the way back. And what I can say and advice for you guys is find something you're passionate about and run with it. I was just telling my son this the other day on a drive. Your competition today with your generation, you don't really have a whole lot, because most kids are really just stuck in devices, and they're not going to, they don't need a whole lot, because the phone gives you everything. So if you're able to find a passion, if you're able to really go out there and learn yourself and dig into different things and get a passion behind you to do something other than sitting behind a screen, I think you're already ahead of probably 80% of kids in first world countries, at least. And as young entrepreneurs, I mean, I think that's something to give you a lot of confidence in what you're doing, and you got to have the confidence and the drive. You really don't have a whole lot of competition out there. So if you grind, you have a hell of an opportunity to fly with where you're going, because other than Twitch and live streaming, playing video games, I don't think you have a whole lot of competition with almost anything you're doing as a young entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, following what you're passionate about, I think I speak for, all three of us when I say that we are so blessed to be in this position where being Bitcoiners is our passion.
Yeah.
And again, being in this space at such a young age, it's very eye-opening.
Yeah.
And the opportunities are endless.
Yeah, I mean, there's always two sides to the technology epidemic. Because we obviously got the positive side and how we were exposed to Orange and Bitcoin from a relatively young age, but again, that other side is so dangerous, because even I find myself sometimes getting so indulged in my phone and just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tool, but if you
Yeah.
overuse it and overconsume, like even
It's all about how you use it.
yeah,
Exactly.
precisely.
It's just how you use it and using it in a productive
Yeah,
and
exactly.
positive way rather than just letting it consume you.
Exactly, and that's sort of what we've done by picking up the camera,
Yeah.
starting these interviews. We're putting the technology to good use and ultimately spreading the good word. of
It's such a
Bitcoin.
big step to become conscious of that, though, because
Yeah.
it's so easy to compare yourself to your peers, especially in our generation, who are doing the same thing and not trying to stand out. So that's what we're trying to inspire.
And especially with social media, what people don't realize is you don't post a bad picture of yourself.
Exactly.
You don't post the lose. You don't
It's not
post
real.
the you
It's
don't
not
post the
real.
grind. You only post the bits where you're up. And transparency is important. And people on their
Yeah.
phones need to realize that these entrepreneurs, these gurus, these get rich quick schemes, 99.999% of it is all just rubbish.
Exactly.
Effectively.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to sum up what you guys said, don't consume it, use it.
Precisely.
Definitely.
Precisely.
Yeah, and I think the reason we bring this up is because a lot of people, as we were saying, in our generation, they hear about, Bitcoin entrepreneurs and they think it's all like tech bros and like Wall Street guys, but you came from a completely different world. As you said, you're a musician, an artist, a writer. You've even been in real estate and retail and, as you said, even the legal cannabis industry. And so you've kind of done it all. So how do all of those different experiences shape the way you see the world and eventually led you to Bitcoin?
So I think the biggest learning experience I've ever had and the best advice that I could give anyone, regardless of what age you are, especially in business and everything in life, personal accountability. This was one where with all the businesses that I went through, I had partners, I had issues, everything else. And it's so easy as a human being in general to place the blame on something not going right on someone else or something else, whether it was the market timing or this individual or it was my landlord or whatever. I went through a lot of that through all the different businesses I ran. And I really, to be totally honest, I didn't take a whole lot of personal responsibility. I think I was balanced to a certain degree, but it was so much easier for me to go, well, this didn't work because this individual, or I lost my lease to this building or whatever it might have been. But at the end of the day, no one put a gun to my head and forced me to partner. No one put a gun to my head and forced me to jump into any particular business or building or anything. So when you're able to take that personal accountability, you're able to get back up when you fall and run again really quick, rather than falling and then spending months to years blaming the issue on so many things. And I'm telling you from experience, like when I ended up moving to where I'm at right now and left the legal cannabis business, I had a business at the time that was doing really, really well, but I had a partner that it didn't work out at all. And I could blame him for many, many things, and the guy was not a good dude, and it didn't turn out right. But at the end of the day, again, no one put a gun to my head and forced me to work with this guy. And I spent like 6 months doing the woe is me. It would have been so much better if this guy didn't screw me over and everything else. And I finally one day kind of just embraced my matrix and stood back and said, you know what, I got to stop pushing this on someone else and take the responsibility. And the moment I did that, I got back up and I ran at full speed. And this was around the time that I found Bitcoin. And Bitcoin blew my mind. And it wasn't the number go up, money gain opportunity that I found with Bitcoin. It really was the personal responsibility part of Bitcoin. It's decentralized. I understood what decentralization meant, but I'd never really seen it implemented. And then I'm looking at money being decentralized, which is one of the most important things it is the most important thing in the world to be decentralized. It would be amazing if religion was decentralized. I think that would help a lot of things, but I don't think that'll ever happen. It's been tens of thousands of years. But with money being decentralized, that was what grabbed me with Bitcoin, and I was immediately hooked. And then I started just studying every day. And I learned about Bitcoin in 2016, and I didn't buy any Bitcoin. At the time, my business had taken a crap. I was moving, did not have the money to do it, and I'd made enough mistakes that I said, all right, I'm going to learn everything I can about this before I jump in. I don't even have $50 necessarily to risk on this right now. And then once I started really going down the orange pill rabbit hole, everything started lining up. And it wasn't Bitcoin that really helped me to grow in my life more than anything that's ever helped me grow. It was understanding how money works and just accepting the corruption head on and stepping back and going, you know what? If I understand how this game is played, I'm going to be able to play the game a hell of a lot better. So I read every book I could. I watched every podcast I could, like many Bitcoiners. We spend thousands of hours watching podcasts and diving in, and that's exactly what I did. And then when I started buying Bitcoin, again, I didn't really have much money at all to spend. So I started going, okay, I want to start eating healthier. I don't need a Starbucks coffee. I can make coffee at home. It's way better. So if I was going to spend $7 on Starbucks today, and I don't, and I go and make my own coffee and it costs me 50 cents for that cup, well, then I have $6.50 left over that I can buy Bitcoin with. And I started using that with everything. And I had a long discussion with my wife, and I said, because we really didn't have the money at the time, and I said, okay, I'm going to start investing into Bitcoin, but I'm going to do it with money we were going to spend anyway. And every time we save money by doing something more intelligently, I'm going to use that money we saved to buy Bitcoin because we would have spent it anyway. And I didn't want to invest in Bitcoin short term at all. I saw the long term potential as this being my life savings, my children's life savings. So whatever I spent, I wanted it to be something that I would not need. This isn't rent money. This isn't a car payment. This isn't money that I potentially am going to need to get myself out of a hole. This is money where when I buy, I know I would have spent it anyway, and it goes away in my cold storage, and I do not look at it again. It gets set and go. And that's been my strategy for almost about 9 years now, since I've actually been buying little bits at a time, whatever I can. And it works. And at your guys' age, I mean, it's perfect. My kids, the same thing. I tell them, set it and forget it. Just buy little bits and don't even think about it. I don't want them to even necessarily know the fiat value of the Bitcoin they're holding, because I don't want them to look at it that way. I want them to think about how many sats they're holding, have their goal of how many sats they want to have by the time they're 21, 22 years old, which might be the time that it gets released to them, and just build those sats and look at it that way. Do not focus on the fiat value at all. And it's worked really, really well.
Yeah, I really like that, actually. I think that would work with a lot of people. I think because obviously people sometimes, if they're not educated, they tend to think it's more of a gamble. But
100%.
if you're going to spend it anyway, then might as well just keep it in something that will increase in value.
Yeah, and in terms of the point you made of you and your wife and your spending habits, that's like, I see myself doing that as well. Like, if I just didn't buy that one specific thing, I would have just put that money in Bitcoin. But in terms of how you discovered Bitcoin, as you said, in 2016, I want you to take us back to that very exact moment. I mean, where were you? What were you doing? And more importantly, what clicked in your brain that made you say, you know, this is it. This changes everything.
So around that time, YouTube, I finally had a little bit of time because I was on the road for about 3 hours a day, doing my commute up to the mountains where we had our legal garden. And I started just really being a musician. I drove a lot in my life, but all I ever did was listen to music. And I love music, and I love driving and listening to music. But then I started watching a couple podcasts and a couple YouTube videos that were educational, and I was hooked. And I literally, every time I jumped in the car and I would go somewhere, I just had a podcast on in the background. And then that led me to the YouTube rabbit hole of conspiracies and all kinds of crazy stuff that I'd heard about growing up. There was a movie back when I was a kid, but probably your guys' age. It was called The Zeitgeist. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that movie.
I don't believe so.
No, I don't think so.
So this was cool. You guys would probably get a kick out of this. The Zeitgeist, back in the day, this was a movie that came out right around the time that DVDs were just starting to pick up, going from VHS to DVDs. And I don't know who it was that created this, but they created a documentary called The Zeitgeist, and it went down every crazy rabbit hole you can imagine, starting with money and ending with religion. and I was about 17 years old. And in order to get this DVD, you had to get it from like a friend, a family member, someone that had it, because like this was definitely not something that would ever be in Blockbuster Video or your local movie store or anything like that. It was heavy underground. So one of my friends dropped this movie off with us, and it was a DVD in a little case. Well, not a case, but like a little film sheet, and it just had handwritten on it, the Zeitgeist. And we put that in, and it blew my mind. But I didn't really pick up too much on it for many years after that. But I was very aware of a lot of things, but I didn't go deep down those rabbit holes. And then 2016, I started really with YouTube, going down these rabbit holes. And I mean, they took me in every direction you can imagine. I'm a realist, so there's a lot of things where I'm like, all right, we have lizard people living on the earth that are controlling everything. I don't know if I'm going to go there, but I also love stories. Lord of the Rings, I mean, stuff like that is like my favorite. So these are like, whether they're real or not, it's incredible stories that I love to listen to, whether I take them serious or not. So I just went down all these rabbit holes, and then this is where I went. At the time, I was going through some heavy health issues with my back, just completely blown. Went to a chiropractor my dad recommended, and this guy's doing my back, and he's like, "Hey, have you heard of Bitcoin?" I did in 2012, and I had a hell of an opportunity, but the guy explained it terribly. Looking back, I'm like many people, yeah, that would have been nice if he would have just explained it a little bit better, because I think the price was like $35 a Bitcoin at the bottom, somewhere around there. Don't quote me on that, but it was really low, and I could have got a lot of Bitcoin for almost nothing. But 2016, my chiropractor brings it up, and he tells me about Bitcoin in the intelligent way, talking about decentralization and really breaking down what Bitcoin was. So that rabbit hole, with me already being on YouTube, I found Tone Vase, I found Samson Mao. You're wearing a Jan 3, shout out to Samson. These guys actually ended up, they are my personal advisors on the company. So it's like a dream come true that the guys that helped me discover Bitcoin way back in the day are good friends of mine, and like literally helping to advise me on this project. So I couldn't have imagined back then that any of this would be possible. But to your guys' hopefully to fire you up, everything is possible. If you grind, everything is possible. So yeah, I mean, that rabbit hole was incredible, and I was hooked. I mean, I couldn't stop. My kids, my poor kids, they could recite the Bitcoin standard almost by heart. Not that they love it, because I've talked about it everywhere, but my daughter, she's 5 now, and anytime she sees a B anywhere, she's like, Bitcoin. So I do not talk about Bitcoin everywhere I go. My poor wife and what they've dealt with. Major shout out to my wife and kids for putting up with me, because I am that guy that will bring up Bitcoin to anybody, anywhere, at any time. And that started back at like 2016 when I found it. I started telling everybody, and no one wanted to listen. But I wouldn't shut up, because to me it was like, this is the biggest opportunity of humanity ever, to have a money, knowing what corruption was and how big it was, and knowing here's an uncorruptible money to a certain degree. I mean, we got some happening right now with paper Bitcoin, but Bitcoin itself is uncorruptible, and it's money, and everyone on earth needs money in order for the world to operate correctly. So yeah, let's just say I was hooked. I rant, so feel free to stop me on my rants when you guys want.
It's great.
Yeah. It's interesting to circle back on it's how you really use technology, because as you just said, YouTube was kind of the thing that enabled your awakening. Like, please guys, use this technology in the right way. Don't just scroll mindlessly on your phone, things like that. Do your own research. Proof of work, guys.
Yeah, and in terms of, telling everyone about Bitcoin, I'm victim to that as well. I genuinely don't shut up about it.
Yeah, even every lesson,
every single lesson. We have economics.
Yeah.
I suppose it would be the equivalent of like high school economics together. Yeah. We literally sit at the front, and every opportunity in terms of inflation, literally anything to do with monetary policy, we just point out the flaws. And
well, could fix this, guys, but yeah. Anyway, I mean, well, that's what it is like. Well, for some of us as Gen Z, we grew up during the 2008 financial crisis, and obviously we were extremely young, most of us were kids, so, but we did see our parents stressed and losing houses and losing jobs. And we definitely did watch all that money getting printed like it was nothing during COVID. So when older Bitcoiners talk about the government overreach and broken money, it's not some like abstract thing to us. Like we did live it. So did you think about the next generation when you were going down the rabbit hole? Because obviously I know you've got kids, so obviously I think that would affect it. But was there a moment where you thought, I really need to find a way to reach the younger people with this message?
That is literally 100% of why I do what I do. The adults, like, I'm very based, and I don't know, you guys know the definition of based?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so I've got a lot of opinions, and they may not be popular opinions, but I stand in my opinions, so I'll just remain based with you guys as well. I think the boomers failed us. My dad's a boomer. I think they failed us. I think they failed your generation. It was so easy for them, and I think the whole 1960s standing up for freedom, in the wars and all that was great, but then as soon as they got laxed and they started getting a little bit older, making their money, and things were a hell of a lot easier for them back then. You could work a job just about anywhere, and if you were halfway intelligent with your money, you could buy a home for 50%, or not 50%, for an average of twice as much as what you make a year. So let's say you make $25,000 a year back then. You could buy a home for 50 grand. Well, we make let's say we make $60,000 a year at not your age, but a little bit older. You jump out there and you're making 60 grand a year right now. That's damn good money for someone around 20, 22, 25 years old. 60,000 a year is not bad. But you're going to buy a home for 500,000 to $1 million is the average home. So what their opportunity compared to our opportunity is night and day. And I think they just dropped it and they were like, dude, it's easy. Like we got it easy. We're set. We bought a home for 50 grand. That home is worth $500,000 to $1 million to 1.5 million and on and upwards. They've been able to ride this storm really well if they were smart with their money and bought real estate or gold back at like $50 to $100 an ounce. Even in the 90s, gold was like $250 an ounce in the 90s. So any intelligence around money for them was really easy. And I don't think they stand up for the youth at all. I think then we have Gen X, and I think Gen X did a pretty decent job of kind of standing up. I think they're pretty based overall. And then I was right on the cusp of Gen X. So being a millennial, I think our generation is the generation that has the opportunity to really stand up and help your generation as well as Gen X. I think millennial and Gen X's have the ability, because of how based they are, to really stand up and try to make a positive impact for the future generations. It's not just about us. It's not just about how comfortable we are in the life that we live. Can we leave something behind that gives you the opportunity to have a chance? And if we don't do our part, then your guys' chance is going to get that much harder. Boomers didn't really leave us much of a chance. They didn't fight for our generation. They only cared about their generation. So to sum it all up, 100%. Everything I do is for my kids, and in order for my kids to have a successful life, their generation in general has to be happy. It's the lifeboat, right? We're all trying to get on a lifeboat right now. But as you're on that lifeboat and you're rowing away from the big ship sinking, if you're looking back and your friends and your family are sinking on that big boat and they're all going to drown, dude, yeah, you're safe. You're floating away and you're going to make it to the island and you're going to be all right. But now you got to live with the fact that the majority of the people that you loved and cared about are dead. That's screwed up. So in order for my kids to be happy, their whole generation to a certain degree needs to have some kind of success. Otherwise, they're going to stand on this hill or they're going to live on this island and they're going to be happy while the rest of the world is burning. No, I don't believe that one little bit. I think that the world needs to have a balance of happiness in order for my kids to have happiness. So it's not just the fight for my kids, it's the fight for their entire generation that I'm focused on, your entire generation, to have opportunity to have a chance in this world and not just wait for the boomers and the Gen X and the millennials to pass away so that they can pass down their massive wealth that they've been able to hold in real estate and everything else. And all you guys are literally just like, okay, we'll struggle along here until basically we get handed the golden spoon. That's definitely not a good way for society to work.
Yeah, that's inspiring and honestly refreshing, because for us it's pretty scary. I mean, we see some of our peers and even our friends like just going on autopilot through the education system and not realizing the problem that when they get into these jobs they will not be able to save for a home like the older generations. And in a way it kind of does stem from their parents almost, because it's been ingrained in them from a very young age that they need to get a degree, they need to do really well in school just for these grades and papers that are ultimately useless.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying when they get a job, but I think the question right now is if they get a job. Because as we see, the government and
AI integration,
especially, it's just plummeting the value of a degree to now, I haven't looked at many senior jobs to be honest, but I'm presuming most of them require a degree.
Yeah.
But once you sort of strip that back, it requires you to get into debt. Yeah. It requires you to sacrifice 4 years of your life sitting in a classroom and ultimately obeying something that might not even be too honest in terms of economics, business studies. How much
actual information do you need?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
And kicking off your youth immediately going into debt. I mean, it's difficult. It makes it even more difficult for anyone.
And even just the whole social life, in the university in the UK, everyone talks about uni life, which is you're independent, you're not with your parents, you can go out, you can drink. Some might, partake in, certain
bad
substances.
Activities.
Yeah, exactly. But no one really wants that.
No, I think that's a very negative outlook, and it doesn't benefit you as a person, exactly. And it won't benefit the future generations at all.
Yeah, I mean, Alladin, you also started a Bitcoin consulting company called the Bitcoin Life Raft. Could you tell us a bit about that? What was that, and how did it feed into what ultimately became Bitcoin trading cards?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll give this with some extra entrepreneurship advice with you guys on this one. And to the last point you guys made, I homeschool my kids for that exact reason. I didn't really make it. The 6th grade was the last grade that I actually paid attention in school. I'm not recommending that at all. But at that point, I was just about my own passion. I was writing music. I was drawing every single day. I was making sketchbooks of graffiti art. School, that's a whole nother topic, and I don't want to defer any youth to not focusing on education. Educate the shit out of yourself. But yeah, schools are definitely failing on giving the youth a good education. Find your passion, run with that. And I'll wrap this back to the Bitcoin Life Raft and give you guys a little bit of entrepreneur ideas and inspiration maybe on this. So I knew around 2017 that I wanted to make trading cards in Bitcoin. And then wrap it back to the school real quick. So I had teachers that I literally fought with, fist fought, hardcore. I was suspended all the time. I was expelled, I think, truly expelled 2 times before I graduated. I was that kid that gave them more hell than you can imagine. But I also, in the 6th grade, I had a football coach who was literally the town king, you could call him. And he beat the shit out of me in the 6th grade in the gymnasium in front of 120 kids, because I called him out, and I was just a little 6th grader, but he was a punk, and I called him out, and I'm just a little guy, and he was a big dude, and he beat the shit out of me in front of everybody. So at that point, it was this is where I really learned the corruption, because the principal was get this kid out of here, he's suspended, you're no longer allowed to do sports, you're no longer allowed to do come to gym. It was just this totally screwed up situation, and here I am, 6th grade, and I'm All right, so this big son of a... I'm sorry, language, I will clean it up. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
This big dude beats the crap out of me, and I'm in trouble. So moving forward in school, that's part of why, because it was in the 6th grade. After that, I was like, all right, I'm just going to push through this. And they allowed me to basically do, to a certain degree, whatever I wanted to do at that point, because legally they screwed up really, really hard at that point. So where I was going on, I'm telling you all of this. I'm sorry. So basically when I got through all of that and I started like trying to figure out how, okay, I'm back at it. You guys can cut that part with my old man brain fart here. The point that I was trying to make was, here's these terrible teachers, horrible teachers, horrible individuals, honestly. But what saved me and why I was able to get a diploma in the end, there were teachers that were badass, amazing, big hearts, incredible, took me aside and just gave me love, attention, and everything to really help me hone in all of my passions. They saw something in me that was worth working towards. And that was where the inspiration for the trading cards came in. Because I said, you know what? If I can teach something in a very fun and entertaining way, I know I'll catch enough attention for someone to potentially learn. And economics is incredibly boring. I remember listening to my parents, listening to like economics. Back then it wasn't podcasts, it was just like radio shows. And it was like, oh my God, this is the most boring ever. Or Fox News at night, or whatever news it was my dad was listening to. And they're talking about economics. And I'm like, I'm out of this room. So how do I make this fun for the youth to be able to learn all these topics that are some of the most important topics they could learn? And that's where trading cards came in. So I'm like, all right, I want to make these trading cards. I want to teach people all these things, but I need to learn as much as I can about Bitcoin. So again, I go down all these rabbit holes, I study everything I can, but then I go, you know what? I don't know how to put this together in a teachable way that can grab people's attention. So I created the Bitcoin Life Raft, and I literally created that to make a little money, because my wife was like, you talk to everyone about Bitcoin for hours every day and you're not making any money doing any of this. Why don't you start charging people to sit down and talk to them and teach them about Bitcoin? So that's a good idea. So I started the Bitcoin Life Raft, and what I would do is I would go to the bank and I would wear a Bitcoin shirt and I'd wear a Bitcoin hat, and I would stand in line at the bank to deposit $25, $10, whatever it was, and I would go every day. But I would go at the most busy times of the bank, so that I had these bank lines, and I would choose banks that I banked with that had the busiest lines. And I'd wait in line with my Bitcoin shirt and hat until someone would ask me a question about Bitcoin. And then I would start the conversation, and I would start it really loud, and I would talk loud enough for everyone to be able to hear the conversation. And I had a handful of business cards in my pocket, Alladin and the Bitcoin Life Raft, and we'd get to a certain point where I'm like, well, I mean, I teach this for a living. Here's my card. You can reach out if you want to learn more. And this took off, and I was doing really well. I was teaching an average 4 to 5 people a week about Bitcoin. Now, I'm getting paid to teach them about Bitcoin, but little did they know, my book that I was taking notes in was the most important part of this. And I was asking them more questions than they were asking me, to try and get as much feedback from them as possible. What do you like about Bitcoin? What have you heard about Bitcoin that scares you away? Why haven't you jumped in? All these different bits and pieces, so that I could put this into Bitcoin trading cards to be able to make this learning experience in the cards something that was as digestible and entertaining as possible, not for Bitcoiners specifically, but for people that don't know anything about Bitcoin, so that you could hand them an orange pill in a pack and let them go down these rabbit holes and potentially spark enough interest in them for them to dive in and maybe jump in and start learning enough to potentially help them financially in great ways. And it's not help them financially by, hopefully they buy Bitcoin, help them financially by just understanding how money works. That is far more important than ever buying Bitcoin. And I think that's something that a lot of Bitcoiners miss. So my base take on it is, finding Bitcoin, you want success. It's not about buying Bitcoin or even owning any Bitcoin. The success in Bitcoin is learning everything that makes Bitcoin so important. And even if you never ever buy Bitcoin, but you learned all these different topics around why Bitcoin is so great and you implement them into your life, even with never buying Bitcoin, I can almost guarantee you that they're going to be incredibly successful in life, with Bitcoin or not. And I know that's a hard take for a lot of Bitcoiners to hear, but it's the education that's really going to save them. And that was the point of the Bitcoin Life Raft, is going out and just soaking up as much, we call it normie, right? As much normie information as I can about what would get them excited. And that's why when you open my packs, you have economics, freedom, tyranny. There's all these different topics that bring you to the why of Bitcoin. How Bitcoin works, I would say that's like 10% of the importance of what you need to teach somebody. 90% is why Bitcoin is so important. That's the savior, if there is any.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is very inspiring that, I mean, that's how you did it. I mean, that's what we're trying to do with this whole podcast, is to orange pill and teach the youth especially about Bitcoin, because again, they're the future, and we want a future where Bitcoin is the currency of the world.
Yeah, I mean, whether we'll see that in our lifetime is irrelevant to the message we're trying to push, because I mean, at least for me personally, I know that if I'm pushing this message, I'm doing good. That's all that matters. You know?
Yeah, we want to just kind of help the future generations and do it for our kids and our kids' kids to help them.
Yeah, it's interesting on the fundamentals of Bitcoin as well, because we obviously did an episode with Thomas Strolight, and that was kind of stepping away from the financial aspects of Bitcoin and kind of applying the fundamentals to your own life. And it really gave me a different insight on how much that actually benefits you, because I was kind of on autopilot doing that in my day-to-day life.
Yeah. And it's just all the different sectors of Bitcoin, because it's not just the currency. I mean, it's the spirituality of it, the health elements of it, all this decentralized nature. It's what we need.
Yes. Yeah, because at the end of the day, without freedom, without the basic understanding and appreciation of freedom, Bitcoin's not going to do anything.
Exactly.
You have to have freedom first. Otherwise, what does Bitcoin do without that? So to the youth, teaching them about Bitcoin is very important. Teaching them about the importance of freedom is the most important. That's really where a lot of my focus comes in, is not coming right out the gate and trying to push anything about Bitcoin specifically, but just trying to drive down the point of freedom and how we need to respect that and appreciate that as human beings in order for anything positive to work, because Bitcoin is nothing without freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get back into that main event, the Bitcoin trading cards. I mean, you spent over 4 years developing this before you even launched. So 4 years in a world where everyone wants to ship something in 4 weeks. So could you walk us through that journey? And obviously we know where the idea came from, but why did it take so long?
So this was because of my entrepreneur journey over the years. I would come up with an idea and I would jump and run with it. And I wouldn't do the research needed to make sure I had my I's dotted, my T's crossed. And I was learning as I went. And that was very, very expensive to learn as you go. And one of the biggest things that Bitcoin taught me was time preference and do your own research. So rather than just diving right out and hoping that it would all work, I needed to take the time and make as many educated decisions on this as I possibly could to make sure I had the best chance. I mean, I was literally, for the first time in my life, right around the point, working through the whole thing. That 4 years was me going, okay, do I go and get a fiat job for the first time in my life and learn how to have a boss and deal with all that? Or do I find a way to finally jump on one of these crazy ideas that I have throughout my life and make it successful? With my wife and my kids getting older, I didn't have many more chances. Like a cat with 9 lives, this was my final life. I need to make this work, otherwise I'm going to be at a fiat job and I will be one miserable guy. So I wanted to take the time to really understand as much as I possibly could before diving in and getting started. So I wanted to meet as many people in the Bitcoin space as I could. I wanted to make sure that anybody I'm putting in the cards, I vetted them as highly as I could. But in order to do that, I have to know what is good, what is bad. This was a lot to learn in Bitcoin. I mean, it's such a fresh industry, especially at that time. I knew that if I did this wrong, there wasn't going to be a second chance. So this is why I didn't put any NFTs in my cards or do anything cryptocurrency related. I could have jumped out immediately with this and went, okay, I'm going to throw crypto in there because I'm going to get the Ethereum guys. I'm going to get the Litecoin guys. I'm going to throw NFTs in there because it's like big hype and everything at that time, especially. And could I have done financially way better with this in the beginning? Oh yeah. No, I had people offering me crazy amounts of money when I had nothing to turn these into NFTs, to be sponsored by all these different exchanges and cryptocurrencies. And I knew that, yeah, short term, I would probably absolutely kill it. Long term, I'm putting out education that is definitely going to hurt people and not help people. So I had to make sure that everything I was putting into this was done with the right mission, and it was something I could stand behind. So in these podcasts and spaces and different things I do, I love the fact that I can say, bring any question you have, come at me with everything you got, because I know that I've put my entire heart and soul into this to do it the right way. And there's nothing I'm afraid of that I've done wrong. I mean, there's maybe a print issue here and there. I screwed up on this card, little things that in trading cards is actually a bonus. It's even been with my cards. But when it comes to the integrity that I've stood behind from day one with this project, I have 100% confidence that I've came in with 1,000% integrity on all the decisions I've made. I did it with the right intentions with everything, and I love that. I love that where I'm at right now, I got nothing to hide, no skeletons in the closet, and I can run full speed with exactly what I'm doing. And that's where the 4 years was really so important. Don't just jump out there on an idea that could be as big as where I believe I'm taking this and risk it all without doing your own research.
Yeah, I think that Bitcoin fundamental that you need to put in your own energy to see results, or put in energy to see results in general, is something that our generation really needs to hear, honestly. Like, we're so used to everything being instant nowadays with TikTok, instant content, instant gratification, overnight success stories even, but real things take time. 4 years of building something in silence before you put it out into the world is a prime example of that. It's a different kind of conviction. What kept you going during those 4 years when nobody could see... no social medias could see what you were building?
Art was a big part of it. I love creating, so getting to create hundreds of pieces of original art a year is like a dream come true to me. And I mean, I was going through such a massive awakening during that time. I was going down the matrix rabbit hole really hard. This was my awakening time, and it was one of the most enjoyable times of my life. COVID came around, and in 2019 I saw the writing on the wall. We pulled our kids out of school in 2019. I knew something really, really big was coming, and all through COVID, I mean, it was those 2 years that I was really glad that I hadn't launched anything. It was definitely not the best time to jump out and try to do anything like that. It was definitely an awakening time for people. Either they were falling really hard under the propaganda gaze, or they were starting to wake up. And I was really proud of myself for being someone that could see through the veil. And that gave me so much inspiration. And it should give you gentlemen inspiration as well. You should be very, very proud of yourselves as young men to be able to see through the... Like, very few people have that, and everyone has the potential to do that, but very few people have that inherently built into them. And I call it, with my boys, it's the warrior spirit. For you to be able to think for yourself, stand strong. You guys are warriors, and you are helping to create warriors alongside your generation by getting them to have the strength to think for themselves. That is like the most powerful thing for men, especially for women. It's huge. This is what is going to help your generation whoop the out of any other generation before you if you can build that warrior generation. And I'm not talking about like going to war and fighting. I'm talking about that personal inside strength in you to be able to say, you know what? I'm strong enough. I can think for myself. That is so powerful, and so few generations before you have been able to have that. And you can go all the way back to the Roman times. You can go back to the beginning of times. You had the elites and you had the peasants. And at any time, the peasants could have stood up to the terrible things that were happening to them, but they were happy to be peasants. And this has been how the world has worked since the beginning of time. Right now, with the information age, like you said, this technology can be used for good or for bad. So if your generation uses this technology for good and you use it to empower each other and give each other that strength to stand up and think for yourself, go and find that knowledge for yourself, you will be the generation that brings on this positive utopia that we've all been dreaming of. And that's what I went through over those 4 years that inspired me, was being able to stand back, look around and go, wow, in this sea of people having a very hard time thinking for themselves, I'm over here like fully embracing everything in my mind, going outside, which I don't think many people do, and just stare at the sky at night. And it sounds crazy to most people. They're like, look at that crazy guy staring up into the sky, looking at the stars. That's not the crazy guy. That's actually one of the smartest people out there, the ones that can turn off the noise, go inside your head, talk to yourself, ask the questions about why, who, what, where, how does all this exist? That's where the creativity comes from. That's where we are going to usher in a better world. So again, long rant, but very proud of you guys, because I can already tell you guys have that warrior spirit in you. And I love the fact that you're pushing it out there.
But yeah, that's a key thing we kind of want to get out, like kind of taking that self-responsibility to step away from social norms and be your own person. Like you don't just have to mindlessly follow everything you're being told.
Yeah.
Take accountability for your own actions, step back and do your own research.
Yeah, I mean, it sometimes is difficult to get out of that, especially if you don't have people around you that know. But that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that there is people who know, so that even if we aren't specifically reaching out to people, there's other people that are educating as well.
And I think a key issue we have within, our generation, Gen Z, is this thing that everyone's very scared to stand out, if that makes sense. Like, no one wants to start a YouTube channel, no one wants to do interviews, and it needs to be broken if we want to see progression.
Yeah.
Because what we said before, everyone's just
culture, right? That's what you guys are dealing with, is the fear of the cancel culture. I have to be really careful myself, and it's scary right now to take that risk, because more people are out there looking to find a way to cancel you rather than build you up.
Yeah, I mean, again, everyone is so scared to just stand out, and one thing that really stands out to us in these cards is the fact that they aren't just, pretty pictures. Every card has a stunning original piece of artwork on the front, and then on the back there is actual education, a solid nugget of knowledge about Bitcoin, economics, freedom, or whatever the topic is. And that is genius, because you're learning without even realizing that you are learning. And was that always the plan from day one, the combination of art and education?
Oh, 100%. So as an artist myself, art is a universal language. You can speak to anybody in any language as long as they have the sight to be able to see the cards. If you conceptualize the artwork well enough, then the art will tell the story. And that is something that I think is in the Bitcoin space. We have some amazing artists, but it's not just about the Bitcoin bee. It's bringing to life a story through a piece of art. So I'll share one right now. This is the hope card. So in Bitcoin trading cards, what is a hope card? Well, hope is one of the most important things for any of us to have, especially your generation. So, well, this is the leap of faith. Sorry, the hope card is a different one, but leap of faith.
Yeah, that is incredible, yeah.
So a leap of faith is a decision to place your trust in something that yet has to be proven. It involves taking a risk in the hope of achieving something positive. even if that means facing possibly of being wrong, the possibility of being wrong. Embracing this endeavor opens the door to bringing once seemingly unattainable societal improvements into reality. In doing so, we test ourselves to see the aspirations through our fruition. It is by taking these bold steps that we can create meaningful change in the world. And these are the cards that we produce in the way of trying to create an artwork that is beautiful enough, creative enough, that tells that story to really try to inspire someone. Then you have the education on the back of the card to take it the next level. And then we go with like the funner stuff. So this is the money printer right here.
Yeah,
That looks
really
sick.
cool.
So
That is
cool.
What
really
the
cool.
hell?
Yeah. Trashing its way through the streets like the money printer does.
Exactly.
That leap
Oh,
of
here's
faith-
one. This is closer to you guys. So this is have you heard of Bitcoin Apex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's Bitcoin Apex.
Wow.
Wow. Oh yeah,
That
yeah,
is
yeah. I've
so
seen
cool,
that. That is
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, I saw that on your Twitter.
Yeah.
It looked so good.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it is incredible. I mean, the artwork is beautiful, but I think the words as well, those
Yeah,
were really
I mean,
beautiful.
I was listening. It was like a melody almost.
Yeah,
It was singing
it's-
to me.
It's such an important lesson as well because I feel like, as we commented on, and well, you did, Finn, people of our generation are so scared to take that step,
Oh, no.
to be looked as like outsiders almost, and
Definitely.
like to avoid the embarrassment. But it's so important. You need to take that step.
Yeah.
Keeping on the topic of this, let's talk about the launch. November 2022, Series 1, Orange Pill in a pack drops and it sells out in 4 months. What was that like? After 4 years of building in the dark, suddenly people are buying everything you've created. Take us through those emotions.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. So we launched. So we launched in November 2022 at Pacific Bitcoin in Los Angeles, California. And the day that we launched, this was the day that FTX imploded. Like literally that weekend. So here we all are at the conference, table set up, and our phones are buzzing like crazy. Twitter, everything's going nuts. And we're like, what happened? FTX just collapsed. And I think the same time it was... oh my God, there was another company everyone was putting all their Bitcoin into to collateralize it, take loans, and be able to basically earn interest on their Bitcoin as well. I cannot remember the name of it right offhand, but basically everything was collapsing. And here I am, I'm like launching my product. So that was a hell of a weekend to do it, but I got to meet Asanoa for the first time there, Mir One, amazing artists, and I wasn't expecting it to really blow up. I was hoping that Bitcoiners would buy these packs and give them to friends and family as a gift over the dinner table, their kids, whatever it was, to, again, inspire them to want to learn not just Bitcoin, but all these different topics. And the excitement with Bitcoiners was immediate, which was really incredible. And then we got back home and sales just started flooding in. This is no marketing. This is completely guerrilla. I am terrible at social media. I had almost no followers whatsoever. And it's just word of mouth. It's starting to move around. Did a couple spaces. I did one with Tone Vase, and that's really what helped kind of blow it up to around 600, 700 people in this one spaces. But I sold out of everything in like 2 months. And all I had at that, everything. So I had like 20 boxes left. And other than that, everything's sold out. And I'm like, all right, I got to figure out what I'm going to do. I hadn't planned on making Series 2 immediately because I thought it was literally going to take a year or two for this one set to sell out. So I go, okay, I'm just going to mark up the prices for these boxes from $500 to $2,100 because that'll stop people from buying them. It'll give me a bit of a chance to kind of figure out what my next move is and where we'll go. And those boxes sold at $2,100 a piece in, I think, like a month. And my mind was blown because I'm like, how do you go from a $500 box to a $2,100 box almost instantaneously? So at that point, I'm like, okay, there is a secondary market for these that I wasn't expecting. I mean, I gave away so many boxes, so many packs. At the conference, I was giving away packs like crazy. We had these Pacific Bitcoin packs that I made. They were commemorative packs for that conference. Now, these packs were free. And in these packs, there was one of 2 chase cards. I made 2,000 of these packs. And I gave them away. To this day, I've never sold one of these packs. Gave every single one of them away. At the conference, there was one in every goodie bag. And then there was a box left over of like 400 of these packs. And the conference was like, these ain't going to be worth. They did not give me the time of day. A lot of people were like, this will never amount to anything. So they take like 300 and something packs in this box and they throw them in the trash. Dumpster my packs, which was pretty punk in the first place, because they should have come to me at the end of the day and said, hey, Alladin, because I hooked them up. Long story, but hey, Alladin, here's this box. We didn't give them all away. You can have these back. No, they literally threw it in the dumpster. So these packs are hard to find because they were given away. Now, a couple months go by and everyone's like, how do I get one of these packs? Really hard to find. Most of them were in the trash. The goodie bags were thrown in the trash. A handful of people were smart enough to go collect goodie bags and like stack these packs. They had the Pokemon idea in their mind. They were collectors of Pokemon in the first place. And then like 6 months go by and these packs are going for like $200. For free packs, like $200 per pack. And then like a year goes by and the packs are going for $800. And then 2 years go by and they're averaging $1,200 to $1,500 a pack right now. And this, like back when it was like $800 a pack, Bitcoin was sitting around $30,000. So you can imagine how many sats you could get for one of these packs when Bitcoin's sitting around $30,000. So secondary market was incredible. And then we do the free Ross giveaway about 6 months after we launched this thing. We do the Miami conference. I create this lenticular one of one. I reached out to Tommy at Bitcoin Magazine, great artist. Tommy is in contact with Ross Ulbricht's mom and a little bit of contact with Ross while he was in prison. And I wanted to do something very special for Ross to try to help raise some money to get him out of prison. So we make this one of one lenticular, and Tommy was actually able to get some artwork that Ross had done in prison. So he gets this original Ross Ulbricht artwork that he did in prison of Ross at like 100 years old, standing behind the prison doors, and he's got the bars in his hands, and he's like a 100-year-old man. And then Tommy takes that and draws it himself and does this painting of Ross at his current age. And then we do this lenticular where when you turn the card one way, you see Ross like 100 years old in prison. You turn him the other way, and Ross is like in his 20s sitting in prison that day. And I give this card in a donation to Scarce City auction. And we do this whole little push on it. Well, it raised 0.43 Bitcoin, somewhere around there. So this was a huge, huge raise. And then we donated 100% of that to the Free Ross Project to get him out of prison. And that was when things really started blowing up. And then you have one-of-one cards going for $5,000 to $10,000. The funnest one, you guys know who Max Kaiser is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got this Max Kaiser card in Series 1. It's a legendary out of 100 Max Kaiser. And it goes on to Scarce City. And I get permission, blessing, and love from everyone that I put in the pack. If they're not literally behind it going, Alladin, hell yeah, put us in the pack. I like the art. I like the description. Good to go. We love what you're doing. We support you. If they don't do that, I'm not putting them in the pack, period. So I get that love from Max, which was amazing. I put him in the pack. We got this Max Kaiser out of 100. This goes on Scarce City auction. It gets posted out on Twitter. Max sees the post and he's like, oh, this is cool. Well, I better go for more than $1,000 if this is going out. Well, that helped kind of pump the price a little bit. So his card's hitting around like $1,500. Max goes, if this card goes, in a tweet, if this card goes for over $3,000, I'll sign the card in Miami. So boom, within like an hour or two, the card's pumping at like $3,500. Max Kaiser sees it. He's like, all right, if this card goes for more than $5,000, you can take me out to lunch in Miami and I'll spend a lunch with you. So I'm like, oh, shit. And the card bumps like $6,500. And the guy gets lunch. So turns into the Max, like lunch with Max card, basically. And the guy that wins it, he wanted to have lunch with Max. So it all worked. We literally, guy buys the card. We go to Miami, get to meet up with Max. I put myself in there. I mean, I will be I'll humble myself. I was like a little kid going, well, I want to go on this lunch. How do I go on this lunch? So I weaseled my way in there to be a part of this. So I got to meet up with Max and a guy, Brian, that bought the card, jump in a cab with both of them, cruise down, grab lunch, hang out with Max Kaiser and Brian, who's an amazing guy, and spend a few hours with Max. And then at the end of it, this was the part that blew my mind and how cool of a guy Max really is. We get back in front of the conference after lunch. Brian ends up leaving. I'm like, thank you so much, Max. This was great. He goes, we're not done. I go, all right, what are we doing? He goes, let's go walk through the conference. Let's go see your booth. I'm like, all right. So we go walking through the conference. There's the bazaar, and the bazaar is awesome. It's like where all the pleb army and everyone that is like little small startups are at, and we're at the end of this area. We're walking through with Max, and he's giving love to everybody. It's amazing. We come to the end. We take some pictures with Max in my booth, and everyone's just fired up. Max is an entertainer, so he's entertaining, getting everything going. Now, here's the part. This was like a bucket list that I never, ever thought would be fulfilled. So now we're at the edge of the booth. He's getting ready to leave. The whale area is right there. And I'll send you a video of this. You can maybe put it into your video at the end to show people just how cool it is. If you've ever seen Max's show, so Max's show is his like 30-second rant about how fiat currency is trash, and he takes real money and he just rips it up and throws it. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Yeah, so it's this epic rant, and he's like getting ready to do it, and he hands me like $5-10 worth of ones, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now. So with him, he does this rant, and I get to rip the money up and throw it in the air with him, which was like one of the coolest moments of my life. And then the greatest part was like after this was done, you have like a crowd of all these collectors. They've been buying trading cards all day long. They're like foaming for signatures and everyone with these cards, and the money's just scattered on the floor. They all dive in like a flipping piñata, and they're like picking up these pieces of the money, and then they run up to Max and they hand him a pen. They're like, will you sign my money? So here's Max signing all these little torn up pieces of currency, and dude, it was like one of the coolest experiences ever. So lots of like lore behind this whole project and how it went from maybe we'll sell a couple packs to one of the most exciting projects in Bitcoin, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, Bitcoin can be boring as all hell. A lot of these guys that are out there, like you can only listen to these podcasts for so long. You can only listen to these guys and gals sitting at their couches at these conferences for hours on end, having these deep economic discussions that literally we've probably already heard 1,000 times on all these podcasts. I can't watch it. I think it's boring as hell. No offense to any of these guys. I've heard many of it. It's very enlightening. It's very educational, but it's extremely boring. So the whole point of what I'm trying to do is like, how do we bring some excitement into Bitcoin and make this not so boring? And to your guys' point, you only have like 10 seconds on TikTok. Everyone's like, if you can't capture my attention in 10 seconds, I mean, be on with you. So that's the cards. Like, I'll give you 10 seconds. All right. You're going to stare at the foil for at least 5. Right? You want to do it. So I'm capturing at least 5 seconds of your attention with this card. And if I'm lucky, I can get another 20 seconds of you on the back of the card. And boom, I just potentially inspired you on one little topic. And I think that's the secret sauce of what we're trying to build here.
In terms of the cards themselves, I just want to break it down and make it clear for our audience. There's different rarity levels, right? There's common, rare, ultra rare, legendary. Do you mind walking us through that system and how does the rarity work?
Yeah, so let me give you guys I'll try to do it like a 3-minute crash course on trading cards. For anybody out there that doesn't understand, this is very, very important, and why I think we have the potential to be the biggest Bitcoin freedom onboarding company on earth. And I'm saying a lot, but I do think we have this. So you have fiat money that can be printed at will, and no one knows about where this money comes from or what these people can or can't do with this money printer. And then you have trading cards, and it's literally printing money. You have no idea what these guys are doing. There are no supplies. When it comes to Pokémon, I'll ask one question to tee this up. I'd love to get you guys' thoughts on this. Or just give me a quick answer. How many packs of Pokémon do you think are produced a year?
Probably like
There's got to be millions.
No.
No.
I'm gonna say like 150k.
Really?
I
That's
think
my
it's more than
Oh,
that.
I think
I would
it's
say
low.
millions.
You're saying wait, no, do a number. I'm saying
Okay,
150k. What are you
I'll
saying?
say 1 million.
What are you saying?
I'll go higher. I'll be the high.
Go on.
I'll go 5 mil. I do think 5
Okay.
million.
Okay.
Okay, individual packs of Pokemon a year, right? How
Yeah.
many individual packs of Pokemon a year do they print? Not cards, just the full packs.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
50.
maybe less.
I think
Actually, yeah.
I'm still standing on the 150k. I think.
Okay, actually, I'm gonna drop mine down.
Yeah,
actually,
okay.
I'm
actually,
still
yeah.
standing
So
on
I was
it.
yeah, actually, it's
I was trying to go
maybe.
faster.
I'm gonna drop a lot. I'm gonna say
I'll say 25k.
I'll say 30.
Okay.
Okay, I'll say 30,000.
Okay, so let's just average it out. Let's say 50,000 packs of Pokemon printed worldwide a year.
Yeah.
1 billion to 2 billion packs a year.
So one.
What?
With a B.
Wow.
Unlucky.
Billy.
50,000. Yes.
Right, I said 5 million. No, take my first answer.
No,
I said
no,
5
no,
million.
no, no.
I said 5 million. That is
That is
insane. That is
Wow.
insane.
Billion.
That is actually
Yes.
crazy.
That's crazy. That's like.
And I literally have been to hundreds of trading card shows, and I asked this question. You got guys that are like laid out. Here's $150,000 worth of Pokemon laid out in these cases, and this is literally what they do for a living. And I'm like, oh, and I play totally dumb, and I go, well, how many packs of Pokemon do you think they print a year? Same thing, 50,000, a million, something like that. And I tell them the answer, and then this to the point of an entrepreneur. Do your own research. Bro, you got $150,000 worth of trading cards sitting here, and your guess is 50,000? This is your business that you're running. And you're that far off. You're a 1,000x off. Like, it's one thing to be like 5x off, 4x off, but to be 1,000x off. And then it goes, well, is that information even available? Yeah, it is. If you do your own research and you really dive in, it's available. So back to currency versus trading cards. The similarities are insane.
Yeah.
And why is it not readily available everywhere to everybody that there's 1 billion packs on average? I mean, a low year is like 500 million packs. And a high year is 1 billion to 2 billion packs. Well, why doesn't everyone know this? Well, that's the secret sauce. You don't want to tell everybody, because then what's the collectability? What's the secondary market value of Pokemon if everyone knows that there's 1 billion packs when they're expecting 50,000 to 1 million packs, right? It changes everything. So same with Bitcoin. We're thinking money, and we go, well, there's like $5 trillion in the world, or there's a $39 trillion US debt right now, and that's like all the money in the world because the US is the money of the world. And then you start learning and you go, holy crap, there's $1 quadrillion in the world that has been printed across all of these currencies. And then you go, what's $1 quadrillion? Well, there's like 1 quadrillion grains of sand on the earth, somewhere around that. Don't quote me exactly, but 1 quadrillion, that's a massive number. That's like unquantifiable to even understand what 1 quadrillion is. We don't even know that word most of the time. Most people have never even heard the word quadrillion. We've gotten to 1 trillion. So by me bringing the education to the collectibles, to trading cards, to start somewhere incredibly simple, where I'll tee it up like this as well. You have a toy, you have a collectible, and you have an asset. And most people don't know the difference. And they don't know how important it is for each one of these to sit in their own. So you have a toy. Toys are meant to be played with. They're not meant to be put on a shelf and never opened out of the pack. Like, there's packs of trading cards. They're meant to be played. TCG games, Magic the Gathering. It doesn't matter if they print 10 billion packs a year. That's fine. If there's a demand for 10 billion packs because people are playing these games and they need those cards to play the game, dude, more power to them. I'm not saying that trading card companies should print less. I'm just saying we should be more transparent about what you're printing. Is it a toy? And if it's a toy, let everyone know it's a toy so that they can play with the toy. Because toys are hella fun. And it gets people physically out of the phone and into the physical world to play with these toys. So rip them open. take them to school, throw them around. And then you have a collectible. A collectible is like, this is a toy that is limited edition maybe, or it's this He-Man toy that I don't ever want to open because I want to save this for the rest of my life. I love the way it looks on my shelf. I want it to be on my shelf forever. I want to pass it down to my kid. I don't ever want him or her to open it. I want them to save it forever. And even if it never ever goes up in value, this was the toy that I loved when I was a kid. And I want it to be passed down for generations, whether it ever has a value or not, because it's got a sentimental value. So let collectibles be your sentimental value, regardless of whether they go up in value. Now you have an asset. An asset is like, I know the supply. So you guys are very smart. You're into Bitcoin. You know supply and demand. This is basic economics. So if there is no verifiable supply, how will you ever be able to verify the demand? It's impossible. So are you sitting on a meme coin? Are you sitting on Ethereum that like Vitalik could go out at any moment and literally print more? Sorry, Ethereum heads, he can. It's already been proven that Ethereum can literally go in and change the unlike Bitcoin. So all these cryptocurrencies that have a head that controls it and runs it, there's a reason why us Bitcoiners don't like them. Not that the number can't go up. Sure, you want to gamble? Yeah. I mean, just like anything else, you can gamble on those cryptocurrencies, but at the end of the day, it's a toy because anyone at any moment can change the supply. So that asset has to have a transparent supply behind it so that you can say, okay, there are X amount of these, and I can look at the market and go, like an iPhone, I will save these early generation iPods because there's only X amount of these that were produced, and I know that let's say there's 1 million that were produced, and I know that down the road, out of 6 billion people on Earth, there's going to be at least 3 million people that want to collect one of these iPod first generations. So it's worth saving. But without having all those numbers, it's a gamble. So this is where my cards come in and say, there's not a whole lot different than what I'm producing than all these other trading card companies. Where mine are different than any other company out there is I am completely upfront and 100% transparent about all of the numbers so that you know exactly how many we produce. So orange pill in a pack, 21,000 packs. Paying homage to Bitcoin, 21 million Bitcoin. 21,000 packs. Well, how many collectors do we need in order for an unopened pack to be valuable? 21,000? Well, what if a handful of these collectors want to buy 5 packs or a box? How many packs are in a box? 24 packs in a box. So it all comes down to that math, and then you can start mathing it and going, all right, well, if there's only 875 boxes, well, that means we only need like 2,000 collectors worldwide in Bitcoin or crypto or trading cards anywhere. Only 2,000 collectors that say, I want a box that is unopened so that I can hold it forever. Well, out of the 875, how many are going to be opened? And you can start playing this game and mathing it in your head to go, this is an asset because the supply is there and I can see the demand will be bigger than what this guy has produced because it's a finite supply like Bitcoin. Once those 21,000 packs are produced for that set, it's done. That will never ever be reproduced again. So you can really start mathing it. And this is where what I'm producing, even if you never read the back of the card, even if you never learn a single thing from any card that you find in any of these packs, hopefully by us being transparent and sparking that question to you of going, what do you mean they're transparent? What do you mean they tell us how many packs they've produced? And literally down to a base card or a parallel. Here's a base card. So this doesn't exist in trading cards. You can see there. This is limited edition out of 1,000. Yeah. So even on the most basic cards out of anything I produce, we literally tell you how many of those cards exist so that you know the exact supply, so that you can try to weigh the demand and do the math. And that is one of the biggest things that we're sparking with what we're doing is it's kind of like calling out the entire trading card industry without having to call them out. I want them, again, Pokemon, if you can produce 10 billion packs a year and you can sell them, more power to you. I love Pokemon. That's one of the big collections of mine that I love. But I collect Pokemon because I love to collect it. and I'm not worried about the price going up or down. It's part of my youth. It's part of my pop culture. So if they can sell it, sell it. I'm not trying to bag on the trading card industry at all. Hopefully it can grow and continue to grow. Only thing I'm saying is I am going to come out, which I already have, and be 100% transparent like Bitcoin. I'm going to be finance supply like Bitcoin. I'm going to do all the things that make Bitcoin such great money, and I'm going to do it in trading cards, because these are the basic economic principles to everything we've been talking about for the last hour. If you can learn these basic economic principles and start asking these questions, you're going to be a better collector. You're going to be a better father, mother, because you're going to play with your children with these toys and not just put it aside. Oh, no, honey, don't open that up. No, we're going to save that because it could be worth something. It ain't going to be worth shit. Just play with the damn toy. Play with your kids. And then you have the asset to be smart enough to go, oh, wow, I'm not going to open this. I'm going to take good care of this because this could be worth something more. Like, I think everyone can say, man, if I only knew that this toy that I bought back then was going to blow up and be really worth something down the road, I never would have opened the toy. So these are all different learning experiences that are going to make you a better collector, a better investor, a better business person. And that's the ultimate premise of the cards. And I know, long rant, but I was trying to kind of bring it all around to when it comes to the rarities and everything we're doing, it's being done in a way that has never, ever been done before. A last example on that, I want this PAL card. Where do I have them? Oh, this will work. So this Bitcoin Apex card right here, and I'll show one more. One of my favorites, the Omega candle inspired by Samson Mao.
Yeah.
This Omega candle card, there's 50 of these. That's it. It's no parallels. There's a one of one, but other than a one of one and the out of 50, there's no parallels. And in trading cards, you may be like, dude, I got this one of one. Yeah, but there's also an out of 5. It just has a different foil. And an out of 10, and an out of 50, and an out of 500, and on to the point of some of these cards, like base cards, common cards, having upwards of multiple millions, 10 to even 20 million of one trading card, and you hold the one of one, but other than the foil being different and maybe a different color variant, it's the same card that's been produced potentially 10 million times. But if you're an art collector and you like art, there's 50 of these that will ever exist, and one of one. You're holding a true asset in your hand.
It's crazy the similarities between your industry and real life as well, because I immediately thought when you said 2 billion packs were being produced, that must mean some value of cards greatly depreciated that year. And it just reminded me of our monetary system now and how quantitative easing, literally, it just wipes out the value of money and can obliterate the value of what you've been saving.
But, you know, as he's showing us, when you preserve it, when you preserve the money, you preserve the fund, it holds value.
Yeah.
As Alladin was saying, it's like an asset.
Yeah.
That can be passed down through so many generations.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Just going back onto an earlier point, we can't skip past this. You did a collaboration with Bitcoin Magazine. So how did that come about, and what did it mean for the project to have a name like that backing you?
I don't know how to say this without being based. I'll give you guys some alpha. It was very, very incredible, honestly, to have the opportunity to do a collaboration with Bitcoin Magazine on this. I had been trying to do it all the way from the beginning. It was all the way through to producing it. It was amazing. Did it do much? No. Bitcoin Magazine is struggling. The whole culture of Bitcoin right now is struggling very, very heavily. Bitcoin Magazine is centralized. You have David Bailey. I don't know David Bailey personally. He could be the nicest guy in the whole world. I don't know him. I've talked to his wife. From what I know of her, she's a sweetheart. Super, super nice. Have had no bad experience with her at all. I think Bitcoin Magazine has some work to do. I think culture-wise, David Bailey, he has been screwing up really, really bad. I could be argumented like to the moon on all of these points. It's not to get in and say specifically everyone needs to do their own research. Everyone has their right to their own opinion. It's like a very base thing that I will say is like building all of these different things on top of Bitcoin. That's the big fight right now, knots versus core and all this different stuff. We brought it on ourselves in a lot of ways by telling people that we are the only party in town. So you guys are young kids. This is the way to frame it up. All right, we're having a party at our house. We're the only party in town. Every other party is lame. If you're not at our party, then have fun staying poor. Go GYF, like all these things. But dude, there's a lot of people I don't want at my party. I don't want weirdos, and like I got kids, dude. I don't want people doing weird sex things and like lame drunks and drug addicts and at my party. I want my party to be chill. I want it to be fun. I want kids to be able to run around and run free and cause a muck. And I don't want to have to worry about weirdos at my party. So like if you guys want to do your weird, do it. I'm a freedom guy. Like, as long as I don't have to see it, my kids don't have to see it, and you're not harming other people, have at it. Get freaky on. I don't care. But no, I don't want it at my party. But there's been a lot of people bringing this crap to our party on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, I wouldn't say Bitcoin Magazine, I would say David Bailey and a lot of these different things are ushering in a lot of crap to Bitcoin. And this is another base take. There's going to be coins, there's going to be altcoins, whether people like it or not, and there should be. I don't know, I'll get a lot of Bitcoiners, oh my God, he said there should be altcoins. Yeah, there should. Why? Because I don't want that on Bitcoin. Like, leave Bitcoin alone and go and build your. Is there going to be funky costumes of furries and weird? Yes, whether we like it or not, there's going to be furries. I don't like it, but people are going to do furry. So let them have it. We're not going to stop that. And as freedom people, like, dude, let them have their, like, if that's what they want to do. Don't do it in front of my kids. I'll beat the crap out of you. But if you want to do it in your own home, do it in your own home. So I think this whole like altcoin thing and everything else, I think Bitcoiners need to wake up. I think that we need to start really thinking about the culture. It's like for you guys, your generation, if Bitcoiners come off as a bunch of fogies and a bunch of boring dudes and girls sitting on couches at conferences, having incredibly boring conversations for hours and hours, expecting anyone other than a hardcore Bitcoin maximalist or some business-minded person that needs to understand this, that's great. There's a time and place for it. But the conference should be rock and roll bands, comedians on stage, inspiring speeches from Michael Saylor and Max Kaiser getting up there and debating Peter Schiff and having these amazing battles that are funny as hell to watch, incredibly entertaining. Like, this is what is going to make Bitcoin trend. This is what's going to bring it to your generation. Your generation's going to look at Bitcoin, they have been right now, and they're like, huh, boomers? I'm not really interested. So it's up to you guys. It's up to Bitcoin Magazine to like wake up, see the writing on the wall. And thank you for the collaboration, Bitcoin Magazine. I do appreciate that. It was very nice. It was definitely a bucket list, and that's awesome. Would I do it again and spend what I spent? No, I probably wouldn't at this point.
No, I like, it's so refreshing to have a base take almost.
A different opinion.
Like, because we kind of identified that gap too, that there was no real bridge between kind of normies in a way and already established Bitcoin people. Like, it was, and we found a lot of the content was already really saturated. So we share similar interests in how we're really trying to diversify and bridge that gap between normies and the Bitcoin space.
And as you just touched on, a lot of the culture at the moment is ultimately boomers.
Yeah.
And, you know, as someone that is Gen Z, who's a teenager, I don't want to be told what to do from someone that's my parents' age, you know?
Yeah.
If it's someone close to my age, then I can get behind it a little bit. It's seen as a little bit cooler, a little bit more trendy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the same thing with our audience. Like, it's a lot more easy to listen to us. You know, we can relate to you. We understand what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're laughing at, like what's trending.
Exactly.
But somebody older necessarily probably wouldn't.
Yeah, and especially because we're going through such a digital like evolvement essentially.
Yeah.
Like, technology is consuming everything. There's a new funny meme.
Yeah.
Literally
Every day.
every single day there's a new meme that everyone knows.
Yeah.
It's synonymous with everyone because the TikTok's gone viral.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yes.
thing in terms, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a good one for you guys. This is a good quote for you guys to run with. I'm not sure if I coined this myself, but you guys can have it and run with it. I've never heard anyone else say it. So you've heard the saying, the pen is mightier than the sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
The meme is mightier than the pen. Change.
No, it's true.
I think that's going to be our
So
Bitcoin quote of the day tomorrow,
Yeah.
actually.
That's a huge one. And then here's another one for you guys. I've been saying this all the way back to my crazy rants when I launched, and it was a pretty hardcore take for a lot of the Bitcoiners to hear, but I think you guys could relate to this very well. So, and you kind of just said it. Do you want to look at Bitcoiners as parents that are trying to tell you how to live, how to be, how things should work so that you can hopefully take their advice and learn from that? Or do you want the Bitcoiner that you're learning from to inspire you, that's going to inspire you? Do you think it would work better? I'm not sure how I'm teeing this up right, but I guess the way to say it is Bitcoiners need to come at this not trying to be a parent. Bitcoiners need to come at this like that uncle or that aunt you have. We'll put it as an uncle because you're boys, but ladies out there, you can maybe relate to your auntie or something, but your uncle pulls up in the yard, or your big brother, he's in this badass car, and he gets out and his girlfriend or wife is just smoking hot. And you're like, dude, I'm going to inspire to be like this guy someday. He's super cool. He's super nice. He's just that uncle or brother that you're like, I want to be like him when I grow up. That is how Bitcoiners need to come off. Not toxic, not talking over people, not like a parent. They need to come off as like, you know what's cool? Bitcoin is cool. And
Yeah, I mean,
That's what we're
what
going
we're
to do.
trying to
That's
do.
our plan.
Hopefully not so much with the hot wife stuff, but maybe the car soon. Hopefully, but like it is so important. What you're saying in terms of Bitcoin needs to be looked at as cool, effectively.
Yeah.
Because it is cool.
It is really cool.
There's nothing cooler than being decentralized.
Exactly that.
Having your mind to yourself and being even just aware of the issues that are being forced on us by certain governments is very key. And it unlocks so much within you.
Yeah, definitely. And it's all part of just, again, being your own person, finding your own personal interests that are completely different to everyone else. And,
They don't even have to be Bitcoin related either.
there you go. It's just simple as that. Be your own person and have your own currency that
precisely.
is properly working and not run by other people.
Yeah.
And your sovereignty, which
Yeah.
is so important. I mean, you've talked about how discovering sovereignty in Bitcoin convinced you that it was the best opportunity we have to restoring our depleted sovereignty. That word sovereignty is something that I think a lot of people our age are only just starting to understand. Can you break that down from your unique perspective? Because I don't think your thoughts are very similar to anyone else we've really had on this podcast.
yeah, I mean, you could say sovereignty, you could say freedom. It's just being your own person. Having the ability to think for yourself, and we've talked about that. It's being based and not being afraid of the cancel culture. I'm sure there's a lot of things that I've said in this podcast that most Bitcoiners are probably not going to like me for, potentially, or I could be cancel cultured for. There's a lot more things I'd like to say that I'll probably be saying more and more as I grow the business around these different things to try and just stand up for what I believe is right. It's not like I don't come off, hopefully, I'm not trying to come off saying I know what's better. I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't know. All I know is this is what I believe in my heart. This is what I'm trying to teach my children the best that I can. The sovereignty is homeschooling your kids. It's not allowing someone else to indoctrinate you and your children or your parents. Being able to have discussions with your parents without outside interference and noise coming in. it's something as simple as you literally having a discussion with your mom and dad and them having the ability to say, you know what, I heard this from different angles that is completely different from what my son is bringing up right now. But I am sovereign enough in my own heart and soul to hear my son out, and maybe he is right, and all these other noises that have come in are wrong. I think sovereignty is, it's in your mind and your soul. It's not a place more than anything that it is like the ability to think for yourself and trust your own mind. And that is not, I know what is right. That is, I am constantly willing to learn and adapt. And even if the media or whatever it might be, my best friend has shoved this crap down my throat and in my head for the last 10 years, telling me this is how money works, let's say. And then my son comes in and goes, Dad, will you give me 5 minutes of your time to maybe just spark something for you to think outside of what you've always thought? If your dad is willing to go, yes, I'm going to block out everything I've ever heard, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes, son, and I'm actually going to take you serious, and I'm going to listen to what you have to say right now. That is a sovereign action from your father. I think we need to simplify it down to more of a outlook like that than the greater way that we kind of look at sovereignty. I don't know, that's a crazy rant, but that's kind of my analogy.
No, I definitely agree, because I think a lot of younger people who may be speaking about Bitcoin, speaking out about it, are shut down by older generations saying, oh, well, you're too young, you don't know anything, like, kind of just listen to me, I've been around, I know my stuff. And obviously that's just a completely, like, unsovereign idea. I think it's just a blocking out of another point of view that you haven't even tested or even know anything about.
Yeah, I mean, when me and Tom sat down with my parents, they did actually respect to them, say, you know what, we'll hear you guys out. And eventually they got Orange Pill. Well, they're in the process of, but it's important to accept other POVs even within the Bitcoin space.
Yes, definitely.
Me personally, I've learned so much just through just being open-minded and speaking to great minds like yourself. As a father of three, I mean, how do you think about the next generation's relationship with money and freedom? What conversations do you have with your children about these topics?
I mean, they've been hearing it for years, nonstop, so they've heard it all. Like my father did for me, I've been very based with my kids, and I allow them to, hopefully as a father, I allow them to have their thoughts and voice on many things, but they've listened to enough podcasts with me on it. They've, in the cars and long drives, that suffered them through so much Bitcoin education, so many times sitting at the table as I talk to other people. Really, really proud of my kids. I'm incredibly blessed to have two young men that are definite warriors, respect and appreciation. I mean, being a father is it's the biggest and most important job I'll ever have beyond anything. And I think calling it a job is maybe not the right way to call it, but responsibility. It's my number one responsibility, and that's why I am blessed right now to have a job that helps me and gives me the opportunity to take the responsibility of being a father and do more than just try to give my kids their own personal chance in life, but really working towards your whole generation. And I do think that we have an amazing opportunity starting with something as simple as collectibles and trading cards. And I am fearful right now, not just for your generation at all, but just fearful for all generations at this moment, looking at it in the lens of collectibles and going, if there is not enough education in something as simple as toys and collectibles, then how are we going to teach someone about monetary economics if they don't even understand toys and collectibles? And the trading card industry it's the biggest bull market it's ever been in before right now. It is blowing up. It's like Bitcoin in 2017. I mean, it's exponential right now. This year is Pokemon's 50th anniversary, 30th anniversary. Congratulations, Pokemon. I mean, this is a big year for collectibles. And I think collectibles are well, if they're an actual collectible, it's worth more than a fiat money that is constantly losing its purchasing power. So I think there's a lot of people right now in collectibles that are looking at it like this. They're going, okay, I don't understand Bitcoin. I don't want to gamble on meme stocks necessarily. I don't want to open up let's call it a Robinhood wallet and start to buy stocks and start to invest in the stock market, because I think they understand corruption. They understand the difficulty of in and out and when and where. I mean, it's all a giant mess. And they're going, what can I do? Where can I put my money right now? Especially if it's $5 here and $100 there. Collectibles, trading cards, they can hold it. It's an actual physical item. It's not an NFT on your phone that's literally just a JPEG. It's a physical item that they have been following for potentially the last 50 years, 100 years. You can go back, a lot of education and information out there to go, these are things that hold value. So trading cards are the best because you can hold a stack of trading cards this big. It's like a stack of cash, right? So I can hold a stack of trading cards this big that could potentially be worth $50,000, $100,000, $1 million, or a hell of a lot more. I can store it in my safe. It's like little gold pieces on paper. And I think this is the easiest way of entry for your generation and a lot of other people right now of going, where do I put my money? I can invest in the trading cards. And the coolest part is it's fun. Like I get to invest and it's a toy at the same time. And I can go to these conferences. I can battle with different people in person, online. There's this culture behind it. I mean, it's one of the coolest investment spaces you can be in. It's just teaching people the basics so that they are educated investors, educated collectors, and educated, I'll say this one, people playing with toys to kind of tee that up. But I do think that there's a lot of education that needs to be had, but I think collectibles is one of the coolest places we could start right now.
Yeah, definitely agree. I mean, that really does hit different for us because we are the next generation that you're talking about. And honestly, a lot of our friends still don't get it. They think Bitcoin is just some internet money thing. But when you put it in the context of freedom and sovereignty and taking control of your own financial future, I mean, that really does resonate, I think, with everyone, really. So do you think that physical products like your trading cards can reach people that haven't been orange pilled yet?
I think it's the easiest and best way to do it, by far. It empowers the individual. When you're trying to orange pill someone, best advice I can give is you let them ask as many questions as possible. And the question, when you're explaining things to them, you want them to talk 80% of the time. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I have Bitcoin buddies, they talk 90, 95, 100% of the time. None of those people are ever going to get orange pilled. They're never going to touch it. If you're trying to teach someone about Bitcoin, economics, freedom, anything, you need to give them the power to feel like they are being heard. Their opinion is being heard. And ask intelligent questions. Make them think. Make them stop for a second, because a lot of you can kind of call out really quickly without having to explain all the nuance of everything that we talk about as Bitcoiners. You can just ask an intelligent question to kind of stop them in their tracks. And then you're not sitting there trying to overwhelm them with all this education. Just ask them a question that kind of goes against everything they just told you. Let them have a 5-10 minute rant. And then in that, start thinking about one good question you can come back with that basically destroys potentially all the information they gave you in that 5 to 10 minutes. And don't try to explain to them why. Just ask them that basic question and you'll get a lot further. So yeah, physical collectibles, it's a way that empowers the individual to learn for themselves. You want to give them the ability to feel like they're controlling the conversation in the beginning. And that will allow them to be disarmed enough to actually maybe listen to what you have to say. Otherwise, you're coming off like that parent just trying to tell them how they're wrong all the time. And we know that doesn't work.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that is such an interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, Just going on to kind of back into this physical side of things, because there's been this whole kind of trend in our generation of going back to physical things like vinyls, records. They're even outselling CDs, and even film cameras are trending. So people want to hold something real. And do you think there's a reaction happening against all the digital world stuff?
100%. Everything that I'm doing marketing wise, I'm trying to build a lifestyle brand around nostalgia, around the little bit of the 1970s, there's a lot of 1980s and some 1990s in there. This was a time before we were bombarded by screens. I call it right now, we're in content inflation like crazy. I mean, that's the biggest inflation we're under, is the content inflation, and we don't know where to go and how to think because there's so much coming at us in every way. And if you're able to get outside and touch grass, like, dude, you're empowering yourself so much by being able to do that. So back when I was a kid, I mean, dude, we had to entertain ourselves, and we only had one channel to watch music videos, and that was MTV. And it was great because we were all sharing that experience together, and there wasn't potentially 5 massive apps and then 10,000 other apps to be able to follow all this music. Everything that I'm doing right now is being built around the digital detox, and series 4 is called The Simulation, and it's all about that digital detox and pointing out that we are in a simulation right now. The majority of people are NPCs. We have the NPC card in series 4, and it's sad to see that the majority of people are NPCs right now, and they shouldn't be. And back in the 80s and 90s, especially, because that's my era, it wasn't NPCs. We thought for ourselves. It was so exciting to be able to go and hang with your friends and go to these dances and go to these parties together and just experience life together, and sitting on the tailgate of a truck and being able to like have these deep conversations with your friends. You guys are massively impressive. I feel this, like, I mean, we just started this podcast. We didn't really get to talk before it, but you guys remind me of that like 1980s, 1990s vibe. And it's not just your hair, bro, but just like questions and your personality. You have that. You have the depth in you, and that is missing. And I think that what's coming is going to be this amazing cultural movement as AI is exploding. I think there's going to be this amazing movement. My guess on the future is like there will be this internet trend that's going to happen, and it's going to be whether it's Sunday or Monday or at parks or whatever it is. It'll be in restaurants, like smoking cigarettes. That used to be everything. Everyone smoked cigarettes in restaurants. It was so gross. You're so lucky you passed that. But now it's like so taboo and disgusting. I think there's going to come a point where if you're on your phone in a restaurant, it's going to be taboo, and you're going to be looked at like the person smoking a cigarette in a restaurant. And if you're at a park and there's kids running around and playing, and you're on your phone, you're going to be that guy smoking a cigarette next to the kids, right? And it'll be the same thing as holding a phone while you're next to the kids. It'll become taboo. And I think that's where the culture is going to start moving. And I think that's where your generation has the best opportunity right now to be the generation that says, we're going to use social media. We're going to use technology. We can't turn it down because it's a part of the fabric of humanity now, whether we like it or not. But we are going to balance it in a way that none of you boomers and none of you Gen X and millennials have been able to do. We are going to balance it out, and we're going to make it taboo. That when you're sitting at a dinner table with your family, if you're sitting on a phone, dude, you're looked down upon. You're literally like that guy smoking a cigarette, blowing the smoke in your family's face as your face is stuck in the phone with your beautiful family sitting in front of you that you should be present with.
Yeah, I mean, talking directly to our generation, if you had the chance to put a pack of base trading cards into every classroom in America and even the UK, what would you want our generation to learn from them?
Critical thinking. There's not one particular topic or subject that I would want anyone to learn. I know I've kind of joked around, said different things for a reason, all that kind of. At the end of the day, it's personal freedom. Whatever makes you happy, you should do. But it shouldn't be something that someone tells you will make you happy. It should be something that's inherently in you. You're born with either this artistic drive and talent, or the desire for cars, the desire for gardening, the desire to cook. All of these things are built into us somehow, whether it's reincarnation, the matrix, you can call it whatever you want. My father inspired me, my brother, my sister. We all have these moments in our soul where we're inspired. Let your soul be inspired, but do not let your soul be told what to do. And if I had the chance to put these packs of cards in everyone's hands, the only thing I would want them to learn is the ability to think for themselves and say there is plenty of information everywhere, and there's a lot of great information, but none of it is gospel to the 100% truth. Every religion, to a certain degree, other than maybe satanic religion, but all the other ones that has good in them, they have the right to, I mean, that's the whole point of America, is like everyone has the right to think for themselves. These are rights that there are God-given rights. And we should all respect that in ourselves and go, I am the sovereign person I am because I think for myself, and I don't allow anyone to tell me who I am. Not the bully at school, not my teacher, not my advisor. I will be who I will be because this is who I am in my soul, and not because someone indoctrinated me to be that person.
Definitely, yeah. I think we find a lot at college that, I don't know, you see a lot of people around and they kind of all just look the same. They don't like have anything.
They like act the same.
Oh
yeah.
Sorry,
Like with the like critical thinking, like thinking for yourself.
Oh yeah.
It's
yeah.
kind of, you
It's
know,
like,
they're dressing the same. They've got the same haircut. It's like everything is just kind of. It doesn't seem like authentic, and it
It's
doesn't
like-
seem like themselves.
It's like TikTok personalities.
Yeah.
You know, people derive their opinions, their personalities, their dress sense from TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we touched on it. It's about taking that step back and not just abiding by social norms or what
Yeah.
we're seeing on social media. It's really important.
Yeah.
Yep. You guys ever heard the word cognitive dissonance?
I have heard it. I can't say that I could explain it.
So we have a cognitive dissonance card. Basically what that means is you're having this battle in your mind, and your mind is going into defense mode, and it's stopping you from being able to move forward in a thought. So it could be, I don't know how to say it without going off PR. It could be anything, right? The sky is blue, and everything you've ever known your entire life is the sky is blue. But someone comes and they have this discussion with you, and they explain to you that actually what you're seeing is an orange sky. You're going, no, it's impossible. It's blue. It's always been blue. But they're able to prove that the sky is orange. Your mind is going to go into defense mode to say that this is going against everything I've ever learned, and I'm getting defensive because I have to admit that I've been wrong my entire life about something. So this is what is happening to society constantly, and it always has to a certain degree. We've all been indoctrinated on what we should think for so long that when someone brings up the truth and it goes against everything you've ever known, that cognitive dissonance pops in, and your mind is going into defense because you're going, I can't accept that everything I've ever known has been a lie. That hurts me too much. It pains me, so I'm going to battle in my mind. And that is the problem we're having with, from high schools to grade schools to college campuses. You're all spending all these years learning the specific rules, these specific history, and all these thoughts, only to come out and potentially learn that a portion of this was a complete and utter lie. And after spending 4 years learning this topic, and now I have this degree, and potentially this degree is based upon a lie, that's a hard thing to take. I'm $80,000 in debt, and I've got a degree that is a complete and utter lie. So that's cognitive dissonance, and that's where I think a lot of people are stuck right now, and why these conversations are very difficult to have, because people are going into defense mode, which is understandable. The last thing you want to be told after years and years of learning one particular thing is that, well, no, it's not true, it's a lie. It's very, very difficult. So that's where empowering people, when you're having that conversation, in order for them to come out of that lie and learn the truth, you really have to baby them and give them the power and the strength to come out of it. Otherwise, it hurts. It's literally like being stabbed to come to reality.
I mean, much respect to him, but our economics teacher, Stuart, I mean, this is the prime example. I mean, he's got a degree in economics.
No, he's a what's the one above degree? No, master.
He's got
doctor.
He's got a master's in economics, and I mean, he's spent his whole life studying this. I mean, I guess it's his passion. But to come in and learn all of that and then have 3 teenagers come in and tell you basically everything you spent your whole life on is completely wrong and you're teaching the wrong stuff, and for you to not even have anything to really come back with, I mean, it's like, it is, again, that cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, have you brought up Austrian economics to him and brought it up in that way?
Pardon, sir?
Have you brought up Austrian economics? Maybe come at him in the way of going, you're 100% right, like empower him. You are the most brilliant Keynesian economics teacher I've ever met in my entire life. And the world runs on Keynesian, so it's understandable. All we're trying to say is there's another way to look at economics, which is Austrian economics. So I'm not trying to shut down or belittle the fact that you are a brilliant Keynesian economics teacher, like all the other economics teachers in the world, other than this small batch of Austrian economics teachers. And this isn't being used. If Austrian economics was being used, the world would be a pretty amazing place right now, and we wouldn't even need Bitcoin necessarily. So maybe coming at it in that direction, empower him with the economics he does know. He's got a master's in Keynesian. Hey, have you ever thought about maybe getting a master's in Austrian as well? And then you will be the super power badass.
I think that's definitely a better approach than what we're doing currently, which is kind of make a point.
You're wrong. Bitcoin's
wrong.
better.
Bitcoin's better, and then laugh at him.
I mean, but I think, we'll try it tomorrow morning and see what he has to say.
When he sees this video, it's going to be so awkward.
So you're so brilliant, you will be able to pick up Austrian economics so quick, because I don't know anyone that I've ever met. And I listen to 1,000 podcasts a week, and you are by far the most brilliant Keynesian economics teacher I've ever heard of in my life. But I would just love for you to maybe pick up some Austrian, because with as smart as you are in Keynesian, dude, you're going to fly through Austrian. You're going to get it like that.
Yeah,
we'll say that to him tomorrow.
We'll try that. We'll let you know how it goes.
I think I'll record it in my pocket just make
extra content.
Yeah, exactly.
So
put an apple on his desk when you do it.
You've talked about how you wanted to help the next generation learn from humanity's past errors. What are the biggest errors you think our generation needs to understand to avoid repeating?
Critical thinking and sovereignty. I think that it really comes down to there are more of us than there are of them. Who is the them? People that make the laws and the rules. There's brilliant people across all aspects of life. We as individuals need to be individuals. And Bitcoin teaches you slay your heroes. And I know it sounds crazy. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that, but slay your heroes. And what that means is never hold anybody to a higher standard than yourself. Never give someone the power in your mind to be the end all, say all. Not your parents, not anybody, because we all are fallible. We all have the ability to understand some things very well and a lot of things not at all. I am a scholar of very many things that I know very little about. And then there are some people that know very little things, but what they do know They're the most brilliant minds on earth, and I could never compete with them in a million years. So I think humanity needs to just take a step back and start to really take pride and confidence in themselves enough. Again, it all comes back, just think critically. And don't give the king, the president, your teacher, anybody, give them respect and appreciation for sure. Respect is everything. But never, and I will say never, think that one person knows enough for you to not think for yourself. Pick bits and pieces from everyone. But again, it's like holding the king and queen to a standard of godliness. No, not the president, not politicians, not your doctor. Nobody deserves that level. We are all equal human beings, and we all need to empower ourselves to feel that equality across the board, and things will get better because we will all start questioning things, and we will not give the absolute power to anyone. And that is the problem. Is Mark Moss, he's amazing, he said it best, with freedom comes great responsibility. And responsibility is not something a lot of people want to take. So we are afraid of that absolute freedom to think for ourselves, because then I've got a lot of responsibility, because I have to think for myself about everything, about what I eat, about how I drive, about how I think, how I invest. I would rather just give my money to this financial advisor, and they're going to do it for me. They know better than me. Most of the time they don't. I would rather give my freedom of decision to the government because they know better than me. No. Most of the time they don't. They know maybe as good as you. But this is where humanity will really start to thrive, is when people can start thinking for themselves and stop giving the absolute power to individuals. No individual should have absolute power over you. Not police officers, not anyone. We are all equal human beings. And that's how we're going to get to a better world. Without that, we're just going to keep repeating this cycle over and over and over.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to do that in such a digital native world, though. I mean, that kind of brings me on to Series 4 of obviously your trading cards, the simulation. You've said the lines between the physical and digital are blurred so deeply that it feels like, we're living in a simulation. And that Series 4 is your physical mission to reclaim, like you said, focus and sovereignty. That's a powerful statement. Can you tell us about the new series?
Yeah, we can just roll it all back to the beginning. Accountability, right? We all need to hold ourselves accountable, whether it's looking at your phone and going, oh, wow, because your phone will tell you how many hours you've been on the phone for the day or the week, right? It keeps track of all of that for you. The simulation allows us, again, freedom takes responsibility. All these things we've been talking about comes back to this simulation theory of allowing the simulation to think for you. It's easier to be an NPC. It's so much easier to just be an NPC. Ignorance is bliss, right? That's a really big one that most people don't admit to themselves. And not to say ignorance in a derogatory way. Let's put it in a really as positive a way as you can. I'm not trying to say it derogatory. Ignorance is bliss. If I don't have to think about it, if I don't have to confront the issues, whether it's with my family, with the government, with my anything, it's so much easier. You just keep going. Personal responsibility, you have to pass that ignorance is bliss situation. And if you're stuck in the matrix, allowing the matrix to think for you, you don't have to embrace any of that. Then we're going to continue to repeat the same things over and over again, because the matrix is telling you who to like, who to be, how to be that person, what kind of schooling you need, how much schooling you need. I mean, it literally tells you everything, exactly how to do it. And then if you really want to go all the way, you sit in your basement every day and you play video games like Grand Theft Auto, where you can literally live inside the game, and it's live streaming, and you could chat with your friends, you could meet a girlfriend, you could do everything inside. And what's coming is that an Oculus where you're literally living and breathing inside of it. And you have like the World Economic Forum that has come out very clearly and said, we would love to get it to the point where you have people that live in a 10 by 10 room. Your sink, your toilet, your kitchen, your everything is in this 10 by 10 room. It's all you need. These are the smart cities, and they're building it in a utopia way where you don't need a lot of money. Like the government will UBI, universal basic income. You don't have to work. You don't have to cook. You don't have to really clean necessarily. You have a trash that comes every day. It's a 10 by 10 room. You got a little box. You throw all your trash in the box, and what do? You go to Disneyland every day. You get to ride on roller coasters. You get to go to bars, use strip clubs, and all these things. You live inside this thing every day, and everything you could ever want is right inside of there, and you never have to leave your house. Your girlfriend, your dog, your friends, everything is inside of here. And that is what they're teeing up. And not to say it in like, it's reality of what they're teeing up. And they're not saying this in a bad way. They're saying this is going to save humanity, because every human being will be able to live out all their dreams and wishes inside this thing. And right now you have people in third world countries that barely have food and never will have the ability to leave the village they grew up in. But inside this Oculus, you can live anywhere in the world. You can do anything you want. And isn't that perfect for every human being to want that? They're teeing it up in a way where it's not bad in any way. This is utopia that they're laying out for you. Ready Player One. I'm sure you guys have seen that movie. It is literally Ready Player One. And if we don't wake up from the simulation and force ourselves to embrace nature and the beauty around us, like go swimming, go to the rivers, go to the lakes, go to the parks, throw a football, kick a football, and enjoy yourself outside. And man, it's so good. This is how to escape the matrix, and there will be a balance to it for sure. We need technology as well, but I think for your generation, for Series 4 and why it was created, was to hopefully start us and base trading cards on this journey, and the mission we're on of it not being just about Bitcoin at all. More important than Bitcoin is escaping the matrix as much as possible and embracing the reality, even if that reality is teaching you to think critically so that you can embrace reality.
It's such an important concept, having such like a cool idea.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, it is a scary future we're going into, but I just hope that we can have as much of an effect as possible so we kind of avoid that whole thing where the world is just online.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more.
And allow people the choice. If they want to be online, be online.
Yeah.
As long as you're thinking critically and you're like, my mind, I'm thinking clearly, mom and dad, and I want to be in this 10 by 10 room and live in an Oculus. Hey,
Yeah.
that's what you want. That's the whole freedom point, right? I'm not saying that it necessarily has to be dystopian for everyone. I mean, maybe there are people that are like, this is what I want. Allow me my prison. And hey, if that's what they want, again, everyone should have the right to choose freely, as long as they're choosing out of their own heart and soul and it hasn't been something they've been indoctored into.
Yeah. Well, moving on, Alladin, you've listened to this podcast before, you know what's coming. We ask this to every single guest, and it's become one of the most talked about moments on the show.
Every single guest has given us something incredible. With this one, something the audience didn't expect, something that made people think a bit differently.
Alladin, we want you to share something with our audience that is either little known or completely unknown, something that most people don't know. And it can be about you, about Bitcoin, about the trading cards, about life, even about the world, anything. But it has to be something that will surprise people, something that will make them sit up and pay attention.
Oh man, we've had 2 hours and I've thrown so much out there. What do I have left?
Well, you spoke about at the start the video that no one had seen.
Oh yeah.
That works perfectly. So in Series 4, I went as far as I possibly could on this. So we have the best printer in the world. We literally have the printer that prints all of your favorite everything. I took them on a wild ride this go around, and I said, I want to produce a set of trading cards that could literally smash the Guinness Book of World Records in every single way, and no one could ever compete with what we just produced. Well, we did that and then some. And then I said, well, that's not good enough. People were asking, hey, are you going to be like giving Bitcoin in the packs? Is there going to be this redemption? And I'm like, yeah, well, I've thought about that. I do have plans for the bigger set that I'm doing, but that's not based enough. Like, it's not enough. I want to throw something in here that is like so incredible that people just can't help but think it's like the older brother, right? Like, this is, how do I make the older brother and bring that to life? The one that, older sister, the one that everyone wants to be. So I will tee up something here that kind of explains everything we've been talking about in a lot of ways. And I created a chase, unlike any chase that's ever been done in the history of trading cards before. So I'll show you this first here. Let me know if there's sound. Just give me a thumbs up if there's sound.
Someone watching this is about to win a 485 horsepower time machine. Do you remember when driving wasn't about getting somewhere? It was just about the trip itself? No notifications, no algorithms. Just you, the machine, and the asphalt. You had to be present. You had to be in the moment. The world got noisy. We got plugged in. But the spirit of that freedom, it never left. It's just waiting for you to take the wheel back. This isn't a simulation. This is 485 horsepower of tangible truth. 6 speeds. 3 pedals. 0 distractions. We aren't just giving away a car. We're giving away a way out. A chance to touch grass at 100 miles per hour. Rip a pack, secure the key.
Oh my god.
That is ultra.
That is so cool, genuinely.
We don't just talk about being based, we have to be based, right?
Exactly.
So now I'm going to tee up one more for you. And I didn't just give away a car. I had to give away a car and an experience that you would never forget. So here's a box. This is called the Experience Box, and it has everything you need to experience the chance to win this card. I'm sure you guys have kept up with memes. Elon Musk. You have a 1 in 420 chance to win a $69,000 based muscle car. And that car you saw with exactly the black and gold trading card, that's exactly what the car looks like. That is the actual car. So here is another tee up, and this is what the box looks like. Let me see if I can share this somehow. Sorry, guys.
That's good.
You can maybe cut this so I can pull this up for you.
I mean, it's such a nice car as well.
Yeah.
Come on, you've given away a good car.
Yeah.
It's a good car. I love Dodge myself, and the Challenger it's mean. You have to know how to drive a manual. So
Exactly.
that makes,
No, that's very important.
all right, here you go. And the cool thing is all the music is all original music that I created. So that's my extra fun little part of this.
keep score of everything I crave.
So that's an experience box.
That
That is
insane.
And the
Any
pack
collect-
that goes inside for you to have a chance to win the car, it's inside
Yeah.
that model car. So you open the model car, and sitting inside of it is the Golden Keys pack. And I even took that the next step, and I played, for the first time ever in trading card history, on top of everything else, I turned it into a red light, green light game that you play on the playground. So the first card you pull, it's the rules to the red light, green light game. And then if you pull a red light, you didn't win the car. Like first card you pull, if it's a red light, didn't win the car. And then you get some extra hits behind it. But if you pull a green light, you have a chance to win the car. You're hoping for another green light. So if you pull 3 green lights in a row without pulling any red lights, you get the Golden Key card, which is redeemable for the actual card itself.
That is
Wow,
really cool.
Any collectors need to tap in with this, because
Yeah,
this is honestly
definitely.
something one of a kind. I've never seen anything like this before.
We'll put all of the links in the description,
Yeah.
obviously. Seriously, guys, go and check out base trading cards, whether you're a collector, a Bitcoin enthusiast, or someone who appreciates incredible art and wants to learn about money and freedom in a whole new way, then these cards are for you.
And if you're someone our age who's been on the fence about Bitcoin, honestly, just buy a pack, open it up, read the backs of those cards. It's one of the most fun ways to learn about this stuff that we've seen. Way better than reading a textbook or even listening to oversaturated podcasts.
Alladin, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for coming on the Orange Pill Order. Thank you for building something that matters, and thank you for doing it for the next generation. You're literally putting freedom in people's hands, one pack at a time, and that is something that we obviously massively respect.
Absolutely. No, you guys are amazing, and for being amazing, I'm going to send you 400 of these packs. These are your Genesis packs. So these are giveaway packs that you can give to your audience. These have all the Bitcoin basic information in there. We'll rip one real quick to show. All right. And these don't have a chase card, but every card has amazing information. So this is your first card up. We're upside down. There we go. So it's why Bitcoin, and then it gives you basic principles of money. This is in every single pack. And then you have Podcasts to Thrive, all the best podcasts, all the best books, all the best movies, everything on Bitcoin, front and back, best people to listen to. And then you get 8 cards. There we go. This is like bull market right here. And then on the back, it gives you bull market and all the Bitcoin information. Oh, it's Satoshi. You've been looking at him behind me all day. So I will be sending you guys 400 packs. You can give these to your audience.
so much.
So audience, no, these guys are going to be giving away 400 packs. I'm sure they're going to keep some for themselves. I'm going to hook you guys up.
Thank you so much,
Thank
honestly.
you so much.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's another wrap on another episode of the Orange Pill Order podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, smash that like button, subscribe, share it with somebody who needs to hear this. Drop a comment telling us which base trading card you'd want to get.
Follow us on Twitter at Orange Pill Order. Check out our website at orangepillorder.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode.
Remember, the Orange Pill Order isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. We're Gen Z and we're here to change the game.
Stay sovereign.
Stack sats.
And keep hodling.